I played Grandmaster Tan Zhongyi of China, former Women's World Champion and current challenger for the 2025 Women's World Championship. It was a huge honor, and this is how it went. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Crisp ASMR. I hope you're all doing well. I'm so excited to share with you this incredible event that I went to recently. Grandmaster Tan Zhongyi was invited as a special guest for a Q&A to share her experience and to play a simultaneous exhibition. For those who may not know, a simultaneous exhibition, or a simul for short, is when a player, usually very high ranking, play multiple games at once against different participants. And so usually for the participants, they'd be sitting around that player in a U shape or like a circle, and that player will go down each participant and make a move on the board. And general rules are that the participants have 5 seconds to make a move, and if they don't, they can pass, but you have a limit of 3 passes, and after which you must just blitz out a move. So I'd love to share some of the things that she talked about in the Q&A with you. When I saw her, she was so cute. She was wearing this cardigan and a pretty skirt, and she had this checkered black and white clip in her hair. I think the hair clip is something that she's worn during the candidates as well, because I've seen some interviews of her. This is the doodle that I made of her. Let me know what you think. One question was how she first got into chess, and she said it was her father who first taught her chess, and she stuck with it because she likes winning. And I think totally fair. But the interesting thing is her career currently, she's not really that focused on chess, and that actually she's more into her chess club and being a teacher, a coach. And so when she spoke about her experience at the recent women's candidates tournament, she explained how she never really intended on winning, and she wasn't too invested in that preparation, especially considering how like her team was relatively small and she'd already won the title before. Back in 2017, I believe. So she is more interested in teaching currently than actually competitively playing chess. And I think part of this could be due to the fact that the competition itself, or competitive chess itself, doesn't necessarily pay that well unless, say, you're really in the top 30 players in the world. So, you know, Magnus Carlsen obviously and so forth, which was just fascinating. But lo and behold, I think under that less anxious and less stressed, when you're less stressed about the outcome, that in that situation, perhaps that helps you play better chess. When asked about players that she admires and draws inspiration from, she mentioned some historical chess figures, and for a modern one, she mentioned Ding Liren. And this made me so happy because I was really following the World Championships last year, and I was hugely supporting Ding, and my friend and I were literally watching the stream together and playing chess, and that was such a fun time, and it was so amazing when he won. Seriously, just defying all odds, and it was such an incredible journey. And she said it's because he's the very first player from China to ever break 2800 ELO, which honestly is an incredible feat. And she did say that he's been having a difficult time lately, and she wishes him well, which I thought was so sweet. And so that was who she admires, but she says that at least she says herself, that she thinks her style is quite similar to Nepo's, or Grandmaster Jan Nepomniachtchi of Russia. And oh my god, I finally have an excuse to say his full name out loud. That's great. Jan Nepomniachtchi. And she says that they're similar. She thinks that they're similar because they've both got that quick and aggressive style, and she tends to look for ways to get a decisive advantage early in the opening. So in that way, although she admires Ding, She finds that their style of play is quite different. Ding Liren is super tactical, but also very, very great positional player. It was super interesting that on the topic of how only the top 30 players really earn a livable wage through competitive chess, she also briefly talked about gender in the chess world, which was super exciting, and basically how the prize pool for the Open Championships, which is generally dominated by men, was 2 million euros, whereas for the women's it was something like 500,000. And obviously there's a rating difference. Like I think Tan Zhongyi's rating is like 2,400. But the point is there's still a long ways to go to getting more girls to play chess, which is something she seemed really passionate about, which I love. Okay, so to go into how the simultaneous match happened, basically in this event you could opt into a lucky draw, and the way they did it was with playing cards. So I pulled the 6 of diamonds. They asked for a FIDE rating, and I told them I didn't have one. And at that moment I was a bit nervous, like would that affect my chances? But luckily, of course, it wouldn't. It was totally fair. But actually, so yeah, I do not have a rating, but some people close to me know that I did recently receive a FIDE membership so that I could eventually start playing rated events one day, which hasn't happened yet, but you can bet that when it does, I will recap my games ASMR style to you guys and share all of my insights. So please look forward to that. Me really trying hard in chess, all my ups and downs. Right, okay, so when it came time for Tan to draw the cards randomly, I was super nervous. I think they were only drawing roughly 20 something cards out of 52, so I figured I had a pretty decent chance, right? Like 1 F3, 1 and 2, but I was still really clutching my 6 of diamonds. I really wanted it. Oh my goodness. And for some context, I am really proud of myself for signing up, because I used to be the kind of person who wouldn't seek out these kind of, limited opportunities. I think, oh, I'm not very good, and there's someone out there like more deserving than me who should get it. But now I think I'm really coming to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? There's no reason why I shouldn't give myself the chance to learn. And everyone has something that they can learn. And it doesn't matter if I'm good or bad or a beginner, I can learn something from this. And why not give myself the opportunity? And it's not like it's guaranteed, it's just a lucky draw. Why not give myself a chance? So I did, and I'm really happy that I did that. And she started drawing these cards, right? And they weren't me, and I kind of had a mini heart attack when I heard the 5 and 7 of diamonds get called, and I was thinking like, oh no way. It's kind of, if she's pulled 5 and 7, then there's no way she's gonna pull the 6, right? But she did. She called the 6 of diamonds, and I was so happy. I was like, yes, me, I'm here. I did not go to the bathroom. I held it in to make sure I didn't miss it. And with that, let's get into the game analysis. So after she went around once to shake hands with everybody, she alternated playing E4 and D4 on each board. And on my board, she decided to play E4. Okay, so before we get into the thick of the game, I want to show you the game review. And keep in mind, I don't really play over the board often. The only times I've played recently are with children, and I'm an adult. So it's still a bit unfamiliar to me, and it's easy for my nerves to come over me. And I was feeling a bit about this game even on the way home on the train, but when I plugged it in to this analysis, I realized, it's not that bad. Obviously, Tan Zhongyi played with 93% accuracy, despite playing with like 28 other people, of course. But here's me with 78.7, almost 80, which isn't too bad, I think, which isn't amazing, but isn't too bad against someone who's like among the top in the world, like the top 0. whatever percent. So I'm pretty happy with this, and considering there's no massive I didn't make any massive blunders against a grandmaster, so I'm quite pleased. No sudden, a close game that was lost by a mistake, which I think is something that could happen to anybody. So with that, I'm satisfied. I think it's not too terrible, and so let's begin. So like I said, she played e4 and I played e5, and I told myself that okay, I wasn't going to play anything crazy. We are going to play very solid and defensively as black, kind of like the way I described in the how to play chess video, and the idea being I'll just defend whatever she starts attacking. So we have knight f3 attacking this pawn, and so I played knight c6, normal, just defending it. I was thinking, okay, I will just defend whatever she attacks. And then we get bishop b5, which is a really normal move, but for some reason kind of threw me off. I don't really know why. I think it's been a while since I've seen anyone play this against me at my beginner intermediate level. But anyway, for some reason this kind of freaked me out, and it was only afterwards that I realized, right, this is the Spanish opening, or the Ruy Lopez. Pretty normal. The idea being you put some pressure on this diagonal, on this knight that they've just developed, and indirectly on the king, so it could become awkward in the future if they wanted to move. It's a preemptive pin, I suppose. And somehow I just forgot that the normal way to play is you could easily play pawn a6, very natural move to just kick out the bishop. And if the bishop were to move back, you can just play like normal. Or even if you're really aggressive, you could attack the bishop, and then it becomes, eventually they might even end up, if they're not careful, they could end up a bit awkward in the side. Oh my god, what am I saying? But after a6, it's very normal for white to take, after which the correct response in the Morphe defense is not to take inwards. So in chess, there's a principle where you want the pawns to take inwards towards the center, and that would look like this. The reason being, in general, okay, you want to take towards the center because that way your pawns are defending the center. But in this case, you want to take outwards. Not only does this keep your pawns together, but it frees up the movement for more of your pieces. Whereas if you took this way, your bishop is still looking a bit silly. So if white were to take, actually it's very good for black to take outwards. And then because if white was to do something not a bit careful, like takes, you can see black has a slight advantage because of a move like queen d4, which is forking both of these and making a good attack on the vulnerable f2 square for the white king. And you could even, get mated. So it's actually very good for black to play like this. But for some reason I panicked. I wanted to play really solid and I didn't know what to do. So instead, and lately I've been playing a lot of the London with a lot of ideas of connecting the knights. So instead I went knight e7. And then after I played this move, I felt a bit silly. Like, look how undeveloped I looked. I felt really bad about myself for some reason. Gosh, I can really get in my own head. But according to the chess.com engine, yes, white has a 0.1 advantage, but it's not like terrible. It's still a book move. So, okay, maybe I should have just played with more confidence. I think that's the lesson. But I did feel silly that all of my pieces were stuck in the middle. Tan Zhongyi plays d4, which makes sense for her, an aggressive attack to take space. Yep, so I take, and we have this exchange, and suddenly I'm like, oh, white is way more developed than I am, and I feel really silly like this. So what can we do? So I decide to push the pawn to make an attack. Apparently Engine likes knight to c6 more to attack the queen. Which in retrospect makes a lot of sense, but I played c6. thinking that I would attack the bishop, and she very calmly just moves to the side. And then I'm like, okay, I'll push again, which is not a wrong move, but I realize it's not that good because after this exchange, suddenly my king feels really naked. And apparently the best move was actually queen trade, and I see this later, but bear with me, I'll just show you what happens. We get d5, but she doesn't trade actually, she just slides back, which is apparently the best move. And I'm like, since I saw the naked thing, I decided to move my bishop up to develop it and also to defend this pawn. And so she very calmly castles. And now I decide I see this queen trade. And the reason why it's good is because, correct me in the comments, but I think it's because white is way more, white has this active queen, and mine was at the back, so by trading it, you're trading off their active queen for your not so active queen. And so she takes the trade, probably to just give me a fighting chance. And so far still fine, and actually at this point, you know, not looking bad for black. So she develops her knight. I have this pretty solid pawn structure actually. Now we're actually looking not bad. I pushed here thinking that I could come and develop this black bishop since I didn't really know where to move my knight. And in response, she very calmly does the best move, which is developing her rook to the center, because eventually this pawn might want to start eating, and then there's a lot of great pressure on this king. So I do want to castle. I saw her castle in monkey see, monkey do. If a GM does it, you want to castle too. So I develop, which is apparently the best move. Okay. And then she takes in the center, which was a mistake. And the reason this was a mistake is because exd5 is missing an opportunity to centralize a knight. So computer wanted something like knight f3 for white and keeping this pawn here. But she takes. So yeah, we have this take, and I'm like, ooh, I should take back. And what did I end up taking back with? Okay, I took back with the pawn because I think probably bishop takes is better slightly. Oh no, it's not. Okay, but pawn takes is, I guess they're similar, but I think the thought in my head, I remember now, the thought was, yes, my king is naked, but since my rook is here, this bishop is not able to come down. But to my naivete, this did create, you know, long-term problems for me, and I think this is where my issues began. And you can see I have a slight advantage if I took with knight, and you can see chess.com is saying that on move 13, had I taken with knight, I would have had a slight advantage, probably because these pawns would still have been together. Instead, I broke them apart. Yeah, and now it's just a long-term problem. So a lesson learned is keeping your pawns together where possible. So knight takes was the logical move. But anyway, I broke my pawn structure, and then she plays the best move, and then I'm like, oh no, my pawn seems a little weak. I'm gonna move up. Apparently rook a6 is better. Okay. I don't really understand, but apparently, okay, at this point I could just castle, but I decided to play my rook up despite no obvious attack there. I don't know why, honestly. Maybe I didn't want this. I don't know. But anyway, that happened. She plays her pawn up to give, I guess, her bishop more mobility, and then I know how to castle. And then she plays the best move, which is knight g5, coming in to start attacking the things holding my position together. Super logical. And I respond with the strange knight f5, which thinking, I don't know, maybe thinking I want to get closer to her king. But then that kind of allows this, which I don't think is very good. But I think my thinking was that, oh, my rook is here defending this d5 pawn since I pushed it up. So even if we have this trade, you know, I'm not going to lose this pawn, but I'm gonna lose all the other pawns instead. So apparently this was better, but obviously white is still winning at this point. So she takes my bishop, which is the best piece I have, which is the best move that she did. I take back. Apparently I should have just done rook e8 to defend. Wow, I think I just didn't want her to take my other bishop too, but this makes a lot of sense. That actually, that's a really good idea. That's so smart. That threatens this mate. I wish I could have seen something like that, and then maybe she could hang mate on my table. But alas, I think some kid actually managed to checkmate her. I heard on Reddit that the best way to play these simuls is if you play traps and play really asymmetrical stuff, because sometimes the person playing the simul might miss an idea. But she does the best move, which is comes in and attacks everything. And at this point, I decide to play defensively. For some reason, now is the time. So I move back, and she doesn't take. She doesn't do the aggressive thing of taking. Instead, she simply centralizes her bishop, just improves her already great position. And then I move this way to try and steal this bishop. And at this point, this is getting double attacked. Taking was the best move because at least that attacks this rook as well. And now I kind of slightly damage the pawn structure in order to king, but nowhere near to my damage. So I just noticed that this is undefended, so I wanted to bring my rook over to defend it. But the question is, do I go this way or do I go this way? And for some reason, I think I wanted to keep this control of this file, so I moved up instead of sideways. But then she plays the terrifying move, and I remember being so impressed. Pawn push. Because not only does this pressure the same pawn, but it threatens to eat my rook as well. And now I'm like, oh no, I don't have anything. I don't know what to do. I want to keep my pressure, so I offer a trade. Apparently it was better to offer it this way. So yeah, maybe because, yeah, I think because, yeah. But, you know, now there's a really strong, I can't even take back, which is quite sad. Probably that's why. I think if I do it this way, then after takes, I don't know why it's better. But anyway, I don't know why it's better. Anyway, this game is in the description if you'd like to analyze it. But, yeah, okay. So now I can't even take back, which is so sad. I block with my rook, thinking that at least I could get this pawn up higher, but apparently it's better to move in. So she does allow this trade, and now this is a powerful passed pawn that I am not stopping. To be honest, I could have decided to stop it, but I think at this point I was getting tired, which is ridiculous considering Tan was out there playing like 20-something games. But here I was on my one board getting tired. Ridiculous. I think it was already been like an hour something at this point. So I move up, okay, and I'm like, you know what? I could stop promotion, but I'm kind of getting tired. Maybe I'll just see what she's like. Maybe I just want to see how a grandmaster checkmates with the queen with 5 advantage. So I move away and I kind of allow this queen promotion, which gives her mate in 7. So lesson learned, guys. If possible, prevent queening at all costs. That is something that I should know, but I didn't execute. Because sometimes when you're tired, you just want to see the queen. So yeah, she queens, and now she does the best move, pawn h4, which shocked me because she has all these pieces and yet she's moving a pawn. But I realized it's because this is mate. Like, this is mate in 2. Mate in 1 actually. But I was not about to hang mate in 1 in front of a grandmaster. I don't mind letting her have a queen, but I wasn't gonna hang mate in one. So I create space for myself. The reason this is not mate anymore is because of this rook now. And she wasn't about to hang her queen. You know, maybe I was thinking that she could hang her queen. And now I think she disconnects my rook. Makes sense. They think it's an inaccuracy, but I think this disconnects the rook from the defense, making this still mate in one. Yeah. But I take it, which is apparently the best move. And this, there's no longer mate in one because this diagonal is no longer defended by the bishop. So if she were to come here, these squares, I can still come here or here. So now what does a top grandmaster do? She doesn't give pointless checks. Instead, guys, she brings her king. And I remember sitting there feeling so scared and so amazed. I had so much awe for this lady, who, in the face of all of this, decides to march her king. And I thought that was so educational. She marches her king. And I'm like, oh no, maybe, never resign. I know at this point, people left and right were starting to resign. I think only half of us were left. But I'm like, you know what, my principle that I tell my students, I tell my friends, it's a meme, but it's true. Like, never resign. Just play it out. Why not? I'm not going to be playing this. I'm not going to be playing a grandmaster anytime soon. So I'm going to drag this out for content as long as possible. I don't resign. I move. And I guess she comes back like, okay, she's not resigning. She brings her king again. I'm like, maybe I can get a stalemate. I know I wasn't going to get a stalemate, but maybe I can get a stalemate. I'm going to push, this is blocked. This is blocked. I'm going to start pushing my pawn. She ignores it. She just marches over. I'm going to ignore it too. I push my pawn. Again, there's no mate because I can still come here and here. I push my pawn, and maybe if she doesn't notice, I can get my own queen and I'm going to be back in the game. But obviously she notices and she starts her descent. She starts her march to mate. You can see mate in 4, and I have no moves. The king is blocking. It's like those puzzles. The king is blocking the side in the front of the king, and then the queen comes, and my only moves are here or here. So I move backwards. And then what does she do? She doesn't give a check. She marches her king. And I'm like, great. I can take this pawn. Best move. What does she do now? She marches her queen down. And my only moves are here or here. And I move down. And what does she do? She marches her king down. Do you see that? The past few moves was just her king march. Watch this king and the queen march down the board into this mating net. Okay, she brings her king down one last time, and I realize I can take this pawn and I can be one step from promoting to a queen, but it doesn't matter because the next move is queen d8 checkmate. So it was on move 39 that I resigned. And you can see the note that I wrote to myself. Wow, what an instructive game. It was such an honor to see this cold, calculating checkmate by a grandmaster. I say cold, but actually she was incredibly gracious. The table next to me had this kid, and she kept trying to ask for a draw, which is apparently, I googled this, that's something that you should avoid doing to someone who's a better player than you. Generally, you want the better player to be offering the draw, just because they're more likely to calculate it more than you. She was just a kid though, and I think the adults around her kept making a joke like, oh, offer a draw, she might accept, lol. But then at some point Tan was like, no, you can't do this, like, oh, you can't keep doing that, it's not good etiquette. Tan is a chess teacher, so she like, I'm sure you find when you teach kids, it's not just about teaching content, but it's like it's the principles, right? It's the attitude, it's the discipline, and it's the respect for your opponent. But anyway, the kid and her family played this move, and they were like, oh no, she has a really good en passant, what if she sees it? And obviously when Tan came around, she saw it, and they were like, no. But Tan was so kind. She was like, okay. She was like, then let's draw. She offers a draw. to this kid, and I thought that was so sweet. And then she came over to my table, and I think it was like on this like move 37. She looked at me and she's like, sorry, no draw for you though. And I'm like, I know, it's okay. I understand. But wow, what a fun time to be checkmated like this. I thought this was so poetic. The fact that I could have I was one step to promotion, but she's gonna beat me with, it doesn't matter if the checkmate was this way, it doesn't matter if it's this, okay, it doesn't matter if it's there because I could run, but it doesn't matter if it's here. That's still checkmate. Yeah, what a brilliant game. I think I just learned so much from this, like the fact that how to play against the Roy Lopez. Thanks to this experience, I definitely have a little bit more knowledge on that. How to keep your pawns together as well, and of course how to prevent, how to try and prevent your opponent queening at all costs, and how to checkmate so gracefully with a king and a queen. And like obviously I know what it looks like, but in terms of the actual march, it's something that I'm not actually that familiar with. So now I've seen a masterclass example. I'm just such an honor. I don't know why this game rating isn't loading. This made me quite motivated and excited to play more over the board things, and when I do, you can bet that I'm going to show you guys all about my games. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and let me know what you think to see more exciting ASMR chess content and good times. I really wish this thing would load. I don't know why it's not loading. Okay, apparently other people have had this problem. Yeah, I don't know why the estimated rating thing isn't working, but that's okay. Anyway, let me know if you've had any experiences playing a GM or in a Simul. I'd love to hear more and compare notes. Thank you so much. Stay well and see you again next time. Bye bye.